Really. Glad my tires don't roar like that. Hey, it's Pete with GCI Turf. Hope you're having a great evening. A little late in the day today. Had a busy day today at work, but I'm bound and determined to make this video today, so I'm gonna make it. Equipment manufacturers. I'm Pete. I own a lawn care company close to Greensboro, North Carolina. We've been in business for 16 years. We do lawn care maintenance, high-end lawn care maintenance, and we do a buttload of spray and turf. That's kind of our bread and butter is the turf applications. And I've had a lot of equipment over the past 16 years, and I have a lot of equipment now. I'm very experienced, knowledgeable. I know what to expect, what things can do and can't do. And I want to make an offer to you. You send me a piece of equipment, I'll demo it, make you a video on it, show everything about it, and maybe it'll help a company, a lawn care company out there, make their mind up, make a decision. Well, hey, I want to buy that, or hey, I want to buy that one, or that won't work for me, or well, whatever the case may be. I personally feel like hands-on experience and showing how to do something or showing what something will do is the absolute best advertisement on the face of the planet. I've been doing it ever since I started my company. Hey, the light just come on. Maybe that'll help. So there's a link in the description, equipment manufacturers, and I don't care what it is, from a handheld trimmer, mowers, blowers, whatever, spraying equipment. Fill out that form in the description. I'll get in contact with you, tell you the details of what's going to happen, and then we'll hook up, make you a video, and hopefully you'll sell some equipment off of it. See, I kind of feel like Hollywood now because I got my lights, you know, light, camera, action, and of course that ain't as fancy as what Hollywood uses. That's just the old spotlight. They help us see a little bit better. This right here is a steel green manufacturing SG46. Fairly new company. I don't think they've been around all that long. It's a cool platform for a sprayer spreader. It's a good size machine. It's not the smallest machine on the market, I can assure you of that. I'm gonna go over some of the features, and me personally, I ran it for 2 days solid. I got to take it out in the field and use it on our clients' yards, get real familiar with the machine and see how it operates, handles, functions, all that kind of thing. And I just want to take a minute and go over, do kind of like a walk around on the machine and kind of point out some things that I like, maybe some things I dislike, and just kind of give you the runaround. And then you, lawn care applicator or a lawn care guy that's getting ready to move into spraying, maybe this will give you an idea if, hey, I want this machine, or nah, that may not be the machine for me. That's your decision. I just want to help you make it. Okay, so here we go again. Steel green SG46. This is a zero turn capable machine, meaning it'll spin around on the dime. The two back wheels are independent, hydraulically driven, so they can counter rotate. One can go this way and one can go the other way, causing it to spin in a very tight circle. You saw that at the beginning of the video where I was out there clowning around. So it's zero turn machine, meaning I can whip that thing around and take off. The downfall to a zero turn machine, in my opinion, is if you have a lackluster operator or someone who's not really seasoned at it, what can happen is they'll plant one tire solid and then they leave that tire there and then want to turn with one tire. Here's your controllers. You would push both of these forward like so and pull them backwards for reverse, and in order to spin around, one has to be forward and one has to be backwards like so. Well, the problem with that, a zero turn machine, is the same thing with a lawnmower stand on, is you say I'm not going to call a lazy operator, maybe an inexperienced operator. Well, they'll leave one handle stationary and try to turn with just one handle, and what that does is that locks that wheel in place, and the tread on that tire just bites and digs and turns in that turf. And when they take off, there's a big ugly dead spot of grass right there. Drives me bananas. I can't stand it. I tell you, I cannot stand it. That is one of my biggest pet peeves ever. So if you're a zero turn mower operator and you're really peculiar about that turnaround like I am, I typically do the 3-point turn, meaning I come to the end of my row and I kind of whip around a little bit, back up a little bit, and then come straight instead of spinning on a dime. I rarely do that, rarely. If you're a zero turn operator and you're looking for a machine that is zero turn capability like the Steel Green, you're gonna have no problem. If you're not used to, or if you've never operated a zero turn machine, it may take you a little time to get the hang of it. So let's talk first about just the overall ride quality. Okay, I rode it all day long. Now you can see right here, you've got a built-in dash system on the oh, don't turn that on. Now you can see right here, this right here has all of your readings, your mile per hour, the hours, some whole, you know, how many volts the machine's putting out, all kind of cool things right there. And typically you're going to want to operate this machine at around 4 to 5 miles an hour. Well, one of the cool benefits of this machine, don't hold me to it, I think that's 21 horsepower, and it will flat out tote the mail. It will run like a scalded dog, like it stole something. I'm telling you, this thing is super fast. It'll run, if this speedometer is accurate, I had it up around 7.8 mile an hour, which is really fast going across you know, a yard that may not be all that even or level. And when you get up around that speed, it's a very rough riding machine. It will bump and throw and toss you and all kind of things. But in defense of the machine, you're not really supposed to be spreading fertilizer and spraying at those speeds. When you back it back down to the 4 or 5 mile an hour range, it's not a terrible riding machine. I don't think it's the best riding machine I've ever been on, but it's not a terrible one. So it might take you a few days or a week to get used to the little bumpiness here and there. They do have a foot plate back here that is cushioned, but that's only going to absorb so much. It just all depends on how bumpy that yard is that you're making your application on. Hillside stability, going up a hill, it does pretty dang good as long as I've got something in this hopper. When my hopper got a little low and I would try to climb a ditch line or something, it would try to want to rear up a little bit. But again, you're typically not going to ride up and down ditches. I like to go side to side on them. So really, you know, I was just kind of doing that for testing purposes only. Front caster wheels that spin around, they don't lock in place. So if you're on a side hill slope, the front end does tend to want to slide down just a little bit. If there were a way to lock those casters in place, it probably wouldn't be an issue. So let's look at the controls and the operation of the machine. Really neat and clean. The dashboard is laid out super nice. I mean, really nice. Got the cool stickering here that goes on it with the logo and all. It's really neat and professional looking. You have your key that turns it on and off, your choke, your throttle. Here's for the impeller. It is a hydraulically driven impeller, so I can dial that thing way down low if I'm in a really tight place spreading grass seed and I'm trying to keep it out of the beds. I can really dial that back. Or if I'm on a football field and I want to open up my pattern a little bit, I can crank that up and spread a little further. Got my PSI gauge, pounds per square inch, that goes directly to the spray system. Here's my little speedometer instrument cluster. Really cool right there. You can track your hours and stuff like that when it's time to change the oil. all kind of neat features right here. When we get up here to the top, this is all the components that go with the spray system. The boom, I think we get 8 foot coverage out of this, 8 foot wide, with 4 fan tip nozzles, and they're individually controlled, okay? Meaning that's your right tip, this is your left tip, and then that would be your center section. So if I just have a narrow section I want to spray, I can just use just the center boom, center section, and be done. If I have a little strip by the road that would be 2 foot wide and I want to spray just that little bit, I can do that as well. So a lot of flexibility there with the spray system. Right here is your pressure regulator, where I can turn the pressure up and down. And of course you got your reading over here on the gauge. This control lever here is how I open and close my gate in the hopper to allow my material to exit the hopper. This is really, really cool. Okay, I'm gonna pull this out and I'm gonna lock it in place. See how that works? I get to pull it up and lock it, that way it can't move anymore. And look at here. Look at my side deflector. That way I can run down the edges and side deflect. Now, something that I'm absolutely in love with about this side deflector, I've never seen one like it. For the most part, side deflectors go like this. They hinge off this top rail right here, and they hinge down. Or I've seen some that slide straight down like this. This one hinges in the rear, so when it opens, this very end goes up in the air like so, and of course it gets out of the way of your impeller and clears all that. But the reason I like that is because you're not going to get, after time, when it gets a little wear on it, it's not going to just poop flop down on you, and you have to take a bungee cord and bungee it up all the time. Drove me freaking bananas. I can look at the design on this and tell the design on this is superior to the flap down type, and that should give me years of trouble-free use. All right, so let's get down here and look at the impeller. It's just pretty much a standard impeller. If there's anything that's unique or special or different about this design, I don't know. It kind of resembles the old Lesco impeller, so I don't really see nothing special. It does spread a very nice even pattern. I've been spreading this Carbon X, the 818 XGRN, the extra green, and it's a very, very fine micro prill. And I've been running at about 7 miles an hour, 6.5, 7 miles an hour on setting 5, and I'm getting about a 15-foot spread pattern, roughly, for 13 to 15-foot spread pattern, and it spreads it very, very nice. And that's a very fine product. So if it'll spread that with no problem, it should spread any fertilizer or granular material that's prilled up in a fertilizer form with no issues. Over here on the side of the machines where the battery's at, really accessible. You just pop these rubber bungee straps off and you can get in there and change the battery out if you need to. Now here's a super cool feature about it. I absolutely love this. It's a pet peeve of mine. Parking brakes on lawn care equipment in general suck. They just do. They always have. And I'm not going to say they always will, because Steel Green has a very, very good one. It really locks down. You can see I've got it parked on an incline right here. Let me get down here level with you. That's about level, and you can see the incline of the ramp going into my shop. It's been sitting there for 5 or 6 minutes. It hadn't budged one bit. The parking brake holds very, very well. Pretty good sized gas tank right here. I spread all day long, and I don't even think I burned a half a tank of fuel. It was really, really fuel efficient, really good on fuel. Back here, it's kind of a really soft, nice padded lean-to, I don't know what you want to call it, cushiony thingamajiggy or whatever. And it helps absorb some of those bumps. And of course, I've got a big belly, so I've got somewhere to rest that's nice and soft. Doesn't affect me there. Back here, I can put a bag of fertilizer if I want. So if I got a place, and on that, I think the hopper, I think I got 200 pounds of fertilizer in it. And I maximum had put 2 1/4, and it was kind of mounded up a little bit. I really filled it up to see how much I could get in it. 2 1/4 on that. And then if I have a really large yard or a large commercial property or whatever, I can throw me a bag in there. Now we'll get to the spray system in a minute, but this thing came from the factory with another one of these on this side, so I could actually put 2 bags on it. But I'm gonna tell you why I like this. So what we do is pop that off, pop that up. That comes off nice and easily. And there you go. Here's all the nuts and bolts back in here. Here's the hydro pumps down here you can get to really easily. Your filter for your sprayer. I think this is your hydraulic filter, hydraulic oil. Everything is super accessible. Your electronics for your switches and all. While I'm at that, I forgot to show you when we were on the pump or the dash. Here's all your controls for your sprayer, foam marker, auxiliary, and it's actually got a 4th slot. You could actually put a 4th one in there if you wanted to. Let's talk about the spray system. Really like the spray system on it. So this is a 15-gallon tank, and this is a 15-gallon tank. So I have a total capacity of 30 gallons. Their larger model, I think, is the SG52. It has a 30-gallon, and a 30 gallons is 60 total. So you'll have to go on their website, steelgreenmanufacturing.com, and look up all the details on that if you want. When they're full, the thing actually does much better on a hill, believe it or not, because I guess I got extra weight back here on the tires holding me firm. So I like that. When the tanks get down kind of low, it still does pretty good on a hill. Again, not the greatest machine I've used on a hill or slope, but it's pretty good. For us here in North Carolina, we're not all that hilly, and we're kind of rolly hills, nothing really steep per se. So for here it would do fine. If you live in a mountainous region where you're going up and down really steep hills, I don't know. That'd be your decision. Let's get right here to the tank. The way the system works is the 2 tanks are connected together. Okay, they're connected together, or you can run them independently of each other. Now, why is that important? Well, it's important because what if I'm spraying late summer applications and I'm going after some broadleaf, so let's say Lespedeza, let's say I'm going after a little bit of crabgrass, and let's say I'm going after a little nutsedge. Well, yeah, they might make a herbicide that's combined. It'll get all 3. I typically stay away from those. I roll my own a lot of the times. So I may want 3 different herbicides on this machine when I'm running. So I might could have my crabgrass spray here, I might could have my broadleaf spray here, and I might could have my nutsedge spray here. So this sprayer right here is totally and completely independent of this, okay? Totally and completely separate. It's got its own pumping motor down here. It's got its own pressure regulator, own pressure gauge. It's got its own little spot spraying wand that would take and mount right here in this clip. Now I want you to check out this agitation. That's a very strong agitation right here. So that's that sprayer. Of course, I think you can get these things, you just pay extra and you get it, and they'll put it on at the factory, or they actually sent me this one and I popped it on. And while I'm on that, our company is in the market to get some new ride-on spreader sprayers. I called these guys up, said, hey, do you mind sending me one? I'll show it off on the channel. Maybe you'll sell a few of them, and I'll get to demo it to let me know if I want one or not, or want several of them or not. So that's how I have this thing. and I haven't made my mind up on it yet, so don't ask. So back to the big tanks. They are independent of each other, and that goes back to you know, I might want to spray 3 different products, okay? And then again, I might not. I may be spraying fungicides, and I can hook both tanks together, which they come hooked together. I can just use them. I can actually separate them with these on-off valves right here, which are in a fabulous location. Man, they could not have put these in a better place. That is one of my favorite things about it. I know in other machines that are similar to this, the valves are way down here and you got to reach way down there, and it's just out of the way. These are so incredibly accessible. It ain't even funny. You don't even have to leave the machine. You simply reach down. Look how close it is to the foot plate and the belly rest. We'll call that my pizza belly rest right here. And look at that. Look how easily I can change and adjust or whatever, and swap back and forth or whatever I want to do. So in this case, I've got this side on. This side right here is on, so the 2 tanks are connected. If I have them filled up, they will both pump down at the exact same time. So when I'm empty on both tanks, okay? So I may be spraying fungicides, and then I may be doing some spot weed control. So I got my spot weed control back here, my fungicides up there. I'm not completely sure if you can get another one and put it on this side. I don't know if they make that option. It would probably be pretty cool to fill up that thing. That would give you the option of having 4 different chemicals if you needed 4. Not a lot of times you're going to need 4 different chemicals on one yard, but occasionally you might, and that would make it extremely versatile if you had that option. As you can see in the tank down here, it's got a nice cool strainer. Comes in and out, just completely being transparent. If we purchase these machines, I'll take those and throw them in the trash. They don't do anything for me but get in my way. Again, that's personal preference. You may think differently, and that's completely fine. The pump is over here mounted on the left side. I'm not 100% sure if this is a SureFlow or a Delavan or whatever. I don't know. You'll have to go to the website and see what that is. It is pretty strong. It's plenty strong for this particular machine. So pretty neat. The booms fold in and out for transport. You know, if you want to move it around or something and you don't want the boom sticking out. But when you're spraying, typically you would pop these out right here. You got about 8 foot of coverage. These are fan tip nozzles. It'll come out and spray an upside down V pattern. They're close enough to where they overlap a little bit so you get complete coverage all the way across. What I'm going to do is go up here to the rear of the machine. I'm going to cut them on one by one, which is 3 sections. It's 1 on each end, 2 in the middle. I'm going to cut them on each section at a time, and you can see the versatility in it. And then at the end, you'll see the spray pattern it produces. So in case you're wondering what that little bit of white fuzzy goodness was, yes, I've been spraying herbicides for 2 days with the machine. One of the problems with 99.9% of all spreader sprayers on the market today is their spray tanks have a flat bottom on them. They connect the pump and the suction line to a most of the time a bulkhead. In this case, I think that's a 3/4 inch banjo bulkhead. The bulkhead has about a 1/4 inch lip for the nut that screws it on, and that material can't jump that nut and get over into the suction port to make it to the pump to completely drain the tank. So you're stuck with a little bit of product in the bottom of the tank, even when you run it dry. And of course you can rinse that out and all that, and I didn't take the drain plug out and rinse it. I just added some water to that little teeny tiny bit of chemical that was left in there, and when you put it under pressure, it has a little bit of foaming action to it. So that's why you saw that little bit of white come out. It's gone now, and it'll dry and it'll be completely fine. It's on concrete in my shop, and that little bit, it shouldn't hurt a dang thing. So one of the cool features about the spray system is, yes, you have a boom sprayer that has 3 different options on it, or you, and in up position like so, that's spraying, and in the down position they're not spraying. So when you turn the pump on and it's not spraying, it agitates and returns it back into the pump right here. Now, one thing I would love to see, now I'm going to show you on the outside of the tank because it's a little dark in there, but that bulkhead goes right about here, okay, and it just shoots the material straight across. What would really be cool is if they made it a factory installed option, is a simple elbow and a pipe that turns back down to the bottom of the tank, and maybe necks down, or has an agitator type fitting on the bottom to where it would really stir this up so that that product can be distributed back up through here, because this pump will create quite a bit of pressure, so they could have that on the return line and really agitate this up really well, so it distributes or kind of mixes back up through the entire tank. So that's I think that might be a cool idea for you, Mr. Steel Green, if you'll think about that, and it wouldn't cost you hardly anything to do it. So the last thing on the spray system is, not only, you know, I've got my little 7-gallon back here, and now what I did is I took a little wand extension from a backpack sprayer with just a standard fan tip nozzle and put on it. That way I can actually calibrate this thing really accurately, and that's with that sprayer back there. And I only have one of those laying around the shop, so that's why I don't have it on the other one. Now this is a second hand sprayer, a little spot sprayer, and you basically squeeze the trigger and there it goes. This one is actually connected to the big tank. So not only do you have a boom sprayer, when you cut the booms off, you have a handy dandy little spot sprayer. You know, maybe if you want to, you got 2 weeds in the yard, you just want to ride by them and pull the trigger and knock them out and go on. That's where I'd use that at. If you have a location that you can't get the machine in now, you will have to look on the specs for this, but I have no clue how long this hose is on this reel. I'm just looking at it, I'm gonna guess it's somewhere around 20, it's either 25 or 50 feet, maybe 25, 30, somewhere in that range. And you just pull it on out like so, go, you know, do your little spray job with that thing, and you're good to go. So I saved my favorite feature for last, okay? You know, I'm a big advocate on proper calibration and applying the right amount of material to the right square feet. I'm anal about it. I think it's the correct way to do things, and that's just the way I am. What is this? This is a foam marker. Turf Maker makes it, Richway Industries. I think they've been around a long time in the agricultural industry, and it's a simple little 2-gallon setup. You can see the way this one works. So what you would do, you would put your water in the tank and fill it and leave a little bit of head space at the top, because you need to allow for foaming. You would add your defoamer to it, and once you turn it on, this thing's going to bubble away inside. And you see up here on the boom, here's the air and here's the water. When they get to this little fitting right here, they mix. They go inside here, and this I can't remember what you call these things. I got it right on top of my head, but I can't remember what you call it. And as the two mix inside of there, and they come out this tube right here, you get a little tiny dog turd. They're white, and I love them. They're so incredibly sexy. When you leave a yard and you have all those little dog turds in the yard, and you get that phone call from the customer and say, "Hey, I can see the fertilizer you put down. Look at all those dots of fertilizer." It's the funniest thing in the world. And then I have a good time with them and say, "Yeah, man, that's a new special fertilizer we're putting it out." And it drops it in little white dog turds.
And then when I tell them what it actually is, we just laugh about it and we cut up. And I absolutely have a blast when my client calls me and talks about the little dog turds that are white in their yard. I absolutely get a kick out of that. Now we're going to turn it on right here. You can hear it working. Let's go over here and look at it, see what it looks like. And look at those white dog turds. Look at that. You might mistake that for some shaving cream or something. Look at that. And no, this ain't poison. It ain't nothing but some foam that's not going to make my hand rot off. But look at that right there. Look at that goodness.
So why is a foam marker so important? Well, it's important. I'm telling you, they crazy around here. So a foam marker is really important because when you have a boom type sprayer, it tells me where I've been and it's going to tell me where I need to go. So one of the cool things about this one is most boom markers that I've seen, most foam markers I've seen, is they'll drop off both sides, okay, at the same time. This one, the switch is a rocker switch, so when I rock it one way, one side functions, and when I rock it over the other way, the other side functions, and when I let it rest in the middle, it's off. Well, the cool thing about that is I use half of the foam that I would use in a boom boom marking system where it drops both sides. So my foam lasts twice as long, which I think that's really cool. Now, what you do have to do is pay attention. If I'm spraying down the stretch right here, I'm going to let the foam marker mark on the side that I'm moving to, okay? I don't want to mark on the side that I'm spraying because that's going to do me no good. I'm going to mark on the other side, so when I go down and turn around, I need to remember to hit that switch and turn the rocker on so that the opposite boom is spraying, or the opposite foam marker is dropping the little white dog turd. So when I'm riding down through there and I can see that foam marker and I can see the fan go out of my spray, and I'm riding along and I can visualize that, and I can drive perfectly dead straight lines because I've got a visual with these white dog turds. So is a foam marker worth the extra money? Well, I don't know. That's your choice and your decision. For me, it is worth the extra money because I like the visual I have. It's a little extra labor involved, putting some foam in here and that kind of thing. To me, it's not a big deal because my accuracy outweighs that little bit of extra work I have to do to pour 4 ounces of foam in there.
I just now had another cool feature come to mind. You can see this little bit of material that's laying up here. When me or my guys get in at the end of every day, I left that on here to show you that. Typically, when we get in every day, we'll take a blower and blow all this off really good, and we clean them, wash them at the end of every week on Fridays when we get in. And one of the cool design features of this is this crossbar on the frame. Okay, typically you'll see these and they're flat and chunky and big, and they gather and collect fertilizer like it's going out of style, and it's a freaking nightmare getting it off. Well, you can see the design on this and see how it's in an upside down V shape. That way your fertilizer sheds off of it. Good job, Steel Green. Really good job right there. Back up here to the controls as far as setting a speed, because you're a dead set speed and a consistent speed is very important in calibration. You simply turn this knob here to loosen it. This bar will go backwards a little bit. You get the speed that you want. Then you lock it back down really good and tight. And then your controller will only go to that speed. That way when you grip it and hold it and you're operating the machine, it's only going to go that fast. And all that depends on how you calibrate it, the speed that you want when you are operating it. So I think that's a pretty good in-depth look at the Steel Green spreader sprayer. My overall first opinion of it is it's a little rough riding. It's kind of rough. Of course, it's not a full-blown Cadillac suspension or anything like that, so you can't expect a whole lot with that. The as far as I know, it's got a solid axle in the back, so when you hit a bump, you're gonna feel it. Going over curbings and things like that, it climbs those with no problem. Of course, you want to be very careful and take your time doing that. You don't want to hit them wide open because it'll throw you off of it. It's a good machine. It really is. I like the capacity. I know a lot of places around the country, that industry standard of average size yards around 8,000 square feet. Well, ours is higher. We're kind of in rural country in North Carolina, and we get a lot of farm type yards and you know, out in the country yards, and they're really big, 20, 30, 40, 60, 80, 100,000 square feet. And this extra hopper capacity is really nice. Same goes true for the sprayer system. 30 gallons. I think this thing, you can calibrate it at what you want to calibrate it at, but don't hold me to this. I think it comes from the factory at around 1/3 gallon per 1,000. Again, you'll have to go to their website and check that out for the details, but I personally have it calibrated 1/2 gallon per 1,000. That's what I have it calibrated at. So good machine. I like it. It's all this is stainless steel. It's a big machine. Kind of makes you feel like you're going to bow up and flex on somebody when you're on it. It's really cool. The controls are super intuitive and laid out very nice. Really good on fuel. Plenty of horsepower. Got plenty of horsepower. And it's kind of open in here where I can get down in there if something goes wrong and work on it. So hey, if you want to check them out, it's steelgreenmanufacturing.com. Pretty sure that's the website. You can Google them and find out. Don't ask me the price because I have no clue what the thing costs. Go to their website or give them a call and check them out. Again, they're letting me try this out to see if it's the way we want to go as a company. And again, equipment manufacturers, this is kind of what I'm going to do, a really detailed look at everything from a point of view of a person that's been using equipment for almost 16 years now. So I kind of know a lot about it, humbly speaking. And I know the things that go wrong. I know the things that can be good about them and be a positive, and then the negatives. And I just want to take equipment, use it in the field, even let some of my lead supervisors take it out and use it and get feedback from them, and then bring it in here, make a video so that John's Lawn Care Company or Bill's Mow and Grow Company or whatever, if they are looking at your machine, they'll catch a video on it and say, man, well, I like that and I don't like that and I think that's cool, and they may call you and buy one. So I don't want your money. You can keep your money. I don't take money to say something good about a machine. I'm gonna give you an honest, straightforward, non-biased review. I don't like the favoritism thing. It's not the way I roll. So expect me to say anything about the machine, and of course in the description there's a form that you have to fill out that lets me do that. So I hope you enjoyed this. Oh, here's your screen thingamajiggy or whatever to kind of catch your clumps of fertilizer. I forgot about that. There you go, Steel Green. Check them out, and I'm gonna check you later.